The Last FIREHAWK, Lullaby Lake. By Katrina Charman. Introduction. In the enchanted land of Peridea lies Valorwood, a forest filled with magic and light. There, a wise owl named Grey leads the Owls of Valor. These brave warriors protect the creatures of the wood. But a darkness is spreading across Peridea, and the forest's magic and light are fading away. A powerful old vulture called Thorn controls the shadowy dark magic. Whenever the shadow appears, Thorn and his army of orange-eyed spies are nearby. Thorn will not stop until Peridea is destroyed. Tag, a small barn owl, and his friends Skyla and Blaze, the last FIREHAWK, have found 3 pieces of the magical Ember Stone. This stone may be strong enough to stop Thorn once and for all. But there are more pieces to be found. Thorn and his spies are also searching for the stone and for Blaze. The friends' journey continues. Peridea. Chapter 1, to Lullaby Lake. Tag and his friends Skyla and Blaze stood at the bottom of the mossy hills. The area around them was dry. The trees and bushes were brown from where Thorn and the shadow had destroyed them. "We must journey to Lullaby Lake for the next piece of the Ember Stone," Tag said, looking at the bright spot on the magical map Grey had given them. Skyla pointed to a dark brown area on the map. It was in between the mossy hills and the lake. "What's that?" she asked. Tag read the map. "The bubbling bog." Blaze leaned over Tag's shoulder. Tag couldn't believe how tall his friend had grown. She towered over him and Skyla, and she had learned lots of new words. She also had amazing powers: fire power, super strong wings, and a loud cry that would scare away any enemy. Tag smiled. He was glad he had a FIREHAWK on his side. Blaze tapped her beak on the map. "Thorn," she cried. "Blaze is right," Skyla said. "The lake is close to the Shadowlands. That's where Thorn lives." "We will stay as far north as we can," Tag said. He looked at the sky, searching for the shadow. But the sky was clear. "For now. We need to leave right away," Tag said. "Thorn and his spies are getting closer. And we move faster in the air, so we should fly." Skyla nodded, climbing onto Blaze's back. Tag rolled up the map. He put it into his sack of supplies and checked their piece of the Ember Stone. There was a sharp, jagged edge on one side of the stone. This was where another piece or more could fit. Each time they found a new piece, it magically joined with the others, making a larger stone. "How many more pieces are there?" Tag wondered. Blaze took to the sky. Tag was right on her heels, heading east toward Lullaby Lake. The friends flew as fast as they could. They were quiet, all wondering what they might find at the bubbling bog and beyond. Chapter 2, the bubbling bog. As the friends flew closer to the bubbling bog, their eyes began to water. "What is that smell?" Skyla called to Tag and Blaze. "It's the bog," Tag replied, covering his beak with his wing. Thick, squelchy mud stretched out as far as he could see. Every so often, a huge bubble rose up from the mud. When it popped, it let out a small cloud of smelly green gas. "My eyes sting," cried Blaze. "Mine, too," Tag said, blinking to stop his eyes going blurry. "Belch! Burp!" The bog bubbled. "We can't fly over the bog," Skyla yelled. "Those bubbles must be filled with some kind of poison." "Follow me," Tag shouted. He flew north, and they landed at the edge of the bubbling bog. Skyla pinched her nose. "What do we do now?" Tag pulled out the map. "We'll have to stay to the north. It will take longer than flying over the bog, but it's the only way." "Hurry," Blaze told her friends. Skyla didn't wait to be told twice. She hopped onto Blaze's back, and they set off, leaving the stinky bog far behind. They flew for hours. Just before sundown, they reached Lullaby Lake. The air was fresh, and the water clear. They found a group of willow trees at the edge of the lake. The trees had long branches that hung to the ground. "Look at this," Skyla said. She moved some branches aside and disappeared behind them. Tag and Blaze followed. "It's a secret hideout," Tag said. The branches hung low, keeping the friends hidden. "We should set up camp here," Skyla said. "Thorn's spies will never find us," Blaze agreed. "Is our piece of the ember stone warm yet?" Skyla asked. Usually, when they were close to another piece, theirs glowed and got hotter. Tag checked his sack. "No, it is still cold," he said. Blaze peered out of the branches. She pointed at a small island in the middle of the lake. "Let's check out that island," Tag said. "Maybe the next piece is over there." "I'll stay here and make our nests for tonight," Skyla said. She picked up some thin branches and began weaving nests for them to sleep on. Tag and Blaze flew to the island. It was covered in trees and tall grass, but there was no sign of the next piece. "It's not here," Blaze said. Tag checked the stone in his sack. It was cold. The moon rose in the night sky. Tag hoped that none of Thorn's spies were watching. He didn't want them to find the next piece before he and his friends did. Tag patted Blaze's wing. "This is a big lake," he said. "Let's head back to camp. We'll search more in the morning." Chapter 3, Thorn. Tag and Blaze returned to camp as night fell. "We should take turns keeping watch," Skyla said. "I'll go first," Tag replied. He set his sack down and peered through a small gap in the branches. There was no sign of Thorn's spies, but Tag knew they would show up sooner or later. They always did. Tag looked at the sack. It held his dagger, the map, and their piece of the ember stone. It was his job to keep the sack and his friends safe. Blaze and Skyla snored quietly. The branches of the willow tree kept them hidden, but an icy wind blew through the leaves. Tag shivered as the night grew colder. He wished Blaze was awake so she could light up her feathers to keep them warm. The hours passed. Tag felt tired, but he knew he needed to stay awake. Suddenly, he noticed a black cloud creeping toward the lake. "The shadow!" Tag thought, jumping up. Flashes of lightning filled the sky. Slowly, the leaves of the willow tree began to turn brown. They crumbled to the ground like dust. A large, crooked vulture stood before him. "Thorn!" Tag squeaked. He knew he needed to grab the sack, but he couldn't move. His feathers shook with fear. "We meet at last," Thorn hissed. An evil grin spread across the vulture's face as he reached his sharp claws toward the sack. "I think you have something that belongs to me." Just in time, Tag snatched the sack out of Thorn's reach. Thorn snarled. Tag pulled out his dagger, holding it with a shaky wing. "Thorn!" Tag yelled to his friends. In an instant, Blaze and Skyla awoke. Skyla aimed her slingshot at Thorn's wrinkled face. "Don't move," she shouted bravely, although her paw trembled. Blaze spread her wings. Her feathers lit up all at once. The flames glowed red and orange in the darkness. But Thorn did not seem afraid. "Your powers are stronger than I realized," he said. "Think how powerful we could be if we worked together." "Never!" Blaze cried. Quick as a flash, Thorn took another swipe at Tag's sack. His sharp claws ripped it open and the ember stone fell out. "No!" Tag yelled. Thorn scooped up the stone in his sharp claws. Then he took off flying over the water, toward the Shadowlands. Skyla shot acorns from shore, while Tag and Blaze chased after the vulture by air. Blaze blasted fireballs at Thorn. One of them hit Thorn on the back. Thorn howled and dropped the ember stone. It fell down, down, down. Splash! The stone hit the lake below. Thorn shrieked, and the sky flashed with lightning. He swooped down to the lake's surface, but Blaze shot more fireballs at him. Thorn shrieked again and turned to the friends. "This isn't over!" Thorn squawked. Then he flew away, toward the dark cloud of the shadow. As soon as Thorn was gone, Tag soared over the surface of the water. Blaze circled above, keeping watch. But it was too late. The ember stone had already sunk to the lake bottom. Suddenly, Tag saw a zigzaggy flash of blue light in the water. Long, dark shapes surrounded the stone. And hundreds of bright orange eyes glared up at Tag. Chapter 4: The Lost Stone. Thorn has spies in the water. Tag shouted. Eels! Blaze and Tag circled above the lake, watching the eels flashing blue light and glowing orange eyes. Buzz! Buzz! What's that sound? Tag asked. Blaze soared closer to the water. Buzz! The sound grew louder and the flashes of blue light grew brighter. Blaze dipped her beak in the lake. Ow! Blaze cried, zooming up out of the water. They're electric eels, Tag said. Tag and Blaze headed back to shore. What happened out there? Skyla asked as Blaze rubbed her beak. Our stone is at the bottom of the lake, Blaze said. And Thorn's spies are guarding it, Tag said. He put his head in his wings. They had already come so far to find the pieces that made up their stone, traveling to Fire Island, the Crystal Caverns, and the Whispering Oak. Those 3 pieces had joined to make one stone, but now that stone was lost underwater. This is all my fault, Tag cried. I should have stopped Thorn from taking our stone. Now it looks like he will get our stone and the next piece. Blaze stamped her feet. No, she cried. Skyla turned to Tag. It wasn't your fault Thorn stole our stone, she said. We can get it back, I know we can. Peep. Blaze agreed. Tag smiled. Okay, he said. But how? If we touch the water, we'll be zapped. Use a branch? Blaze suggested. That won't work, Tag said. A branch wouldn't be long enough to reach the bottom of the lake. Skyla looked back at the willow trees. I have an idea, she said. Tag and Blaze followed Skyla to camp, where she quickly